Well, hello and how are you? Hey friends, welcome to the Shin Show. I am your host, Shenandoah Briscoe, coming to you from right here in St. Charles, Missouri. Hey, this here is Thursday, March the 7th, 2019, vlog number 2570. Got a happy birthday shout out going out to Robin Baer and Judi Wyatt. Yep, Robin Baer was one of my caregivers, as she is now a real estate agent. So if you need some real estate property, contact Robin Baer. And Jodi Wyatt is my cousin, so second cousin, I guess. So anyway, here we go. We're gonna say a happy birthday song for the two of you. I said, hey, I heard it's your birthday today, so happy birthday, I must say. You know, Robin and Jody, you're starting a brand new year today, so happy birthday to you, I say. I said, hey, I heard it's your birthday today. So happy birthday, I must say. Yeah, I know you're starting a brand new year today. So happy birthday to you today. And a happy anniversary shout out to Jodi Lynn Howarth. Happy anniversary to the two of you, your husband and you. Don't know his name, but that's okay. You know his name. Happy anniversary to the two of you. Alrighty, let's get some weather for the St. Charles area. Yes, sir. This airs March the 7th, and it's generally cloudy outside today. Slight chances of rain showers, highs near 40 degrees, winds east to southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Rain and snow this evening, changing over to rain showers later on, and lows temperatures around 32 degrees. Winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chances of precipitation only 40%. And then how about Friday, March the 8th? Partly cloudy skies, highs near 45 degrees, winds east to northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. At the end, cloudy with occasional showers late at night, lows around 37 degrees, winds east at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 70%. And then we got thunderstorms. Yep, that's right, thunderstorms in the morning. Then skies turning partly cloudy later on. Highs around 61 degrees. So it's a nice warm up, but of course it's going to rain. Winds are south at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 100%. Winds could occasionally gust over 40 miles per hour. Now, this is bad news because that is the same day that the Mulan parade, the circus parade, will be running that very same morning at 11 o'clock. So, bummer days. Anyway, Saturday night, partly cloudy, lows around 34 degrees, winds west at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Winds could gust up occasionally to over 40 miles per hour. Sunday, March 10th, cloudy with highs around 47 degrees, winds west at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Sunday night, cloudy skies, lows 29 degrees Fahrenheit, winds north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Monday morning, March the 11th, a mix of clouds and sun early, then becoming cloudy later in the day, highs around 48 degrees Fahrenheit, winds north at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then cloudy and lows around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, winds east to northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then Tuesday morning, March the 12th, cloudy with occasional rain showers, highs around 45 degrees, winds east to southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 50%. Cloudy with storms, which Cloudy with showers later on, lows around 42 degrees Fahrenheit, winds southeast at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then Wednesday, March the 13th, considerable cloudiness with occasional rain showers, highs around 65 degrees Fahrenheit, winds south to southeast at 15 to 25 miles per hour. Chances of rain, 50%. And then a mostly clear skies and lows near 48 degrees, and winds are south to southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then Thursday, next Thursday, that is, wrapping up our 7 day forecast. Generally sunny, despite a few afternoon clouds. Highs around 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds west to southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. And then a few clouds from time to time. Lows around 37 degrees. Winds west to northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So that wraps up our 7 day forecast. Now we get that Mulan Shrine Parade. Yep, March 9th at 11 a.m. located on Riverside Drive. So if you're going down there, get out the rain gear. Come and watch the famous little cars of all colors. And of course, the Mullah's famous little yellow fleet will be there. And listen to the bands of all types and interact with clowns of all shapes and sizes. And then be amazed at the numerous colorful floats. Enjoy the fun-filled day with your family and friends as we start the magic of the show, the Shrine Circus that is. So bring the kids and the neighbors and even your grandma to make this a great family outing. And then how about the 2019 Spring Concert Series will be kicking off at the Foundry Arts Center. That's at 520 North Main Street, well, North Main Center, which is located basically on the corner of Clark and Riverside Drive. And it'll start at 2 p.m. and wind up around 4 p.m. And the reason it's going to start at 2 p.m. and wind up at 4 p.m. is because taking the stage at 2 p.m. will be the contemporary American band music performed by the Municipal Band, and then followed up by the popular big band jazz and vocal music performed by the big band at 3 p.m. Now, the Foundry art exhibits can be viewed prior to the show concert and during intermission. So, come on out and enjoy the show. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to read an article. That's right. I'm going to read an article by Mark Twain. That's right. This here is a news article by Mark Twain. It's called Mark Twain's Letter. It came out of the San Francisco Daily Call, August the 30th, 1863. It's called the Steamboat Springs Hotel, August 20th, 1863. Mark gets invalid and goes to Tahoe. Invalid and goes to Tahoe. Editor's Morning Call. Some things are inevitable. If you tell a girl she is pretty, she will let on that she is offended. If 17 men travel by stagecoach, they will grumble because they cannot all have outside seats. If you leave your room vacant all the forenoon to give the chambermaid a chance to put it in order, you will find that urbane but inflexible officer ready to begin her labors there at the exact moment of your return. These are patent, but I'm able to add another to the list of inevitable things. If you get a week's leave of absence for a visit to Lake Bigler or to Steamboat Springs, you will transcend the limits of your forlorn. As I speak from personal knowledge, I carried over lake the lake a heavy cold and acted so imperitedly during a week that it consistently grew heavier and heavier until at last it came near outweighing me. Lake Bigler is a paradise to a healthy person, but there is too much sailing and fishing and other disposition of a similar nature going on there to allow a man with a cold time to nurse it properly. From the from thence to Steamboat Springs, I was exceedingly sorry to leave the place, but I knew if I stayed there and nothing interfered with my luck, I should die before my time. Wherever, wherefore, I journeyed back over the mountains last Monday, and have since been an interesting invalid at Steamboat Springs. These are boiling hot, and Emmett Springs enough to run all the mills in the territory. Learned men say the water is heated by a combination of combustible chemicals. The under the unlearned say it is done by a combination of combustible devils. However, like Governor Roop, I consider that it is no business of mine to inquire into the means in which the Creator has seen fit to make use of the consumption of his well regarding this or any other portion of his handiwork. A rich decision, and possibly it may be interesting to you to know how Governor Roop came to deliver himself of that burst of inspiration. 2 years ago, during the season of avalanches, Tom Rust's ranch slid down from the mountain side and pretty nearly covered up a ranch belonging to Dick Sides. Some of the boys in Carson thought that the circumstances offered a fairly opportunity for playing a hoax on our former simple-minded Attorney General, old Mr. Bunker, and they got Sides to employ him to bring suit in a referee's court for the recovery of his ranch, which Mr. S. did alleging that Russ now claimed the surface of the ground as his own, although he freely admitted the ranch underneath it belonged to Sides, who it grieved him to reflect would probably never see his property again. Mr. Bunker was naturally stunned at so prosperous a proposition, and bade his client be of good cheer, and count without fear upon the restoration of his rights. The courtroom was crowded, and Roop, as judge reference, as judge referee, presided with a grave dignity in keeping with his lofty position. The sheriff guarded the sacred precincts of the court from disturbance and indoctrination with exaggeration, exaggerated vigilance. The witnesses were examined, and all the evidence of any value went in favor of General Bunker's client. The general appeared with 11 solemn law books under his arm, and with the light of triumph beaming in his eye, and made a ponderous speech of 2 hours in length. The opposing counsel replied feebly by design, and the case went to the judge. All who heard Judge Roop's inspired decision and noted the holy serenity of his contents when he gave it, well cherished the memory of it while they continued to live in a world where meteors of joy flash only in intervals athwart a sky darkened with clouds of sorrow always. He said, "Gentlemen, I have listened with profound interest to the arguments of counsel in this important case, and while I admit the reasoning of the distinguished gentleman who appeared for the plaintiff with almost restless, and that all the law and evidence adduced are in favor of his client, yet considerations for a far more sacred and exalted nature than those compelled me to decide for the defendant, and to decree that the property remains in his possession. The Almighty Creator, the earth, and all of it, and all that is in it, and who shall presume to dictate to him the disposition of his handiwork, if he saw that the defendant's ranch was too high up the hill, and chose, in his infinite wisdom, to move it down to a more eligible location, albeit to determine of the plaintiff and his ranch, it is met that we bow in humble submission to his will, without inquiring into his motives or questioning his authority. My verdict, therefore, is, gentlemen, that the plaintiff sides has lost his ranch by the disposition of God." The monstrous verdict paralyzed Mr. Bunker where he stood. The crowd of spectators defying the sheriffs shook the house with laughter. But after the court adjourned, poor Bunker, oblivious of the joke, hunted up Governor Roop and asked to appeal the case. The great judge frowned upon him with severe dignity for a moment, and then replied solemnly that there was no appeal from the decision of the Lord. Cursing Roop's emphatically, the general told me afterwards that the only recourse ever offered his client was the privilege, if the defendant would give his consent, of either removing Rust's ranch or digging his own out from underneath. The hoax finally drove Mr. Bunker back to New Hampshire, and lost to us the densest intellect the president ever conferred upon the territory, the hotel and its occupants. But I, dis- but I digress. Being in the vicinity of Dick Side's ranch overcame me with the memories of other days. As I was saying, these springs are situated in Steamboat Valley, something over 20 miles from Carson, and about half the distance from Gold Hill in Virginia, and are visited daily by stagecoaches from those places. There is a hospital kept by Dr. Ellis, the proprietor of the springs, which is neat, roomy, and well ventilated. The Steamboat Springs Hotel, kept by Mr. Stowe and Mr. Holmes, formerly of Sacramento, is capable of accommodating a great many guests, and has consistently a large number within its walls. The table is not as good as that at the Occidental, but the sleeping apartments are unacceptable. In the bath houses near the hospital, 12 persons may bathe at once, or 4 times that number if they be individuals who like company. There are about 35 patients suffering under all kinds of degree of afflictions in the hospital at present. There are also several at the hotel. Some walk with canes, some with crutches, so some limp about without artificial assistance, and some do not pretend to walk at all, and look dejected and baggy. They mope around long, longitudinally and slowly. There is no eagerness in their eyes, and their faces only sad indifference. The features of some are merely by odd sores, and but if it is all the same to you, I will speak of pleasanter things. The steam baths here restored to health, or at least afford relief to all classes of patients, but consumptives, these must seek assistance elsewhere. Erysipelas, rheumatism, and most other human distempers have been successfully treated here for 3 years. Secretly, a case has been lost. The majority are sent home entirely cured, and none go away without having derived some benefit. The effect of a bath. The boiling steam springs send their jets of white vapor up out of fissures in the earth, extending in an irregular semicircle from more than a mile. The water has a sulphurous smell, and a crust composed of sulphur and other villainous drugs. It deposits it deposited by it in the beds of the little streams that flow from the springs. The Indians, who don't mind an offensive smell, boil their meat when they have any poor devils in this stinking, sickening water. When you are shut up in the little dark bathrooms with a dense cloud of scalding rising up around you and compelling you to Scotia's whether you want or not. You are obliged to keep your mouth open or smother, and this enables you to taste copper and sulfur and epics and turpentine and blood, hair, and consumption and corruption, not to mention the multitude of other ghastly tastes in the steam which you cannot recollect the names of. And when you come out, and before you get to the cold shower bath, you notice that you smell like a buzzard's breath, and are disgusted with your own company. But after your clothes are on again, you feel as brisk and vigorous as an acrobat, and your disrespect for the fragrant bath lingers with you no longer. Has a quarrel with John Hefflicks. Hark, methinks that sound, no, it can't be. And yet it is it? It is. And yet it is. Now, all those exclamations are original with me, but they were supersedingly by reading that high flow batch of concentrated and inconsistent John Hefflick's Gentleman. The sound referred to was simply a call to our regular hash, and I only wanted to see how such silly language would fit so sensibly a subject. Under the circumstances, though, I cannot stop now to discuss it. Okay, that was your Mark Twain. Uh, that was your Mark Twain letter. All right. Anyway, it looks like it's time for our portion of the program called Our Daily Bread. And today, I'm going to be reading 1 Kings 19, 9 through 13. And if you're keeping up with the Bible in a year, which I hope you are by following the Bible with Briscoe, we will be reading Deuteronomy 3 through 4 and Mark 10, 32 through 52. But as for now, the devotion today is called Escaping the Noise. I'm going to read that first paragraph for you so it'll entice you to go to odb.org and join up with Our Daily Bread. Several years ago, the president of a college suggested that students join her in Powering Dawn for an evening. Although the students agreed, it was with great reluctance that they laid aside their cell phones and entered the chapel. For the next hour they sat quietly in a service of music and prayer. Afterwards, one participant described the experience as a wonderful opportunity to calm down, a place to just tune out all the extra noise. There you go, escaping the noise. Here we go, Kings, 1 Kings. 1 Kings 19, 9 through 13. The Lord appears to Elijah, and the word of the Lord came to him. What are you doing here, Elijah? He replied, I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant. torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too. The Lord said, Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the winds there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. The voice said to him, What are you doing here, Elijah? And there you have it. That's the end. So I'm going to have to say, well, goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I said goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must go. So goodbye, my friends. Goodbye. Thanks for enjoying the Shen Show. And don't forget to come back and see me tomorrow because, well, I'll be here and I hope you are too. May God bless you. And, you know, I love you and so does God loves you and so do I. So be blessed in Jesus' mighty name. Come back and see me tomorrow. I'll be here and I hope you are too.